let's blast this thing up to 500. Woo! We're live streaming. All right, so this is. I'm gonna turn this back down. This is so loud. All right, that's enough of that. Enough of that. All right. Where were we? Okay, we're streaming. The stream is happening right now. Okay. If you're starting the video right now and you're from the video that you just watched, maybe, check out the description of this to see where the video actually starts. It shouldn't be that long though, because I just gotta go post something on the gram real quick, and we will be on our merry way. Content creating, if you will. Oh, we already got Tall Pea Stain in the chat. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. It is time to discuss like true scholars. All right. 1 second. Here, everyone smile. We got a live stream to do. Here we go. You ready? There we go. See? Super cool. Super rad. Just awesome in general. All right, live streaming now. And then here's what we do. We get a link to go with it. And it's going to be insane. If you don't know, check out my Instagram. I post art there and stuff that my sister does. She's awesome. Let's do some quick mathematics. Wait, not mathematics. Where's the share button? How do you... Am I streaming? I'm streaming, right? I mean, the Tall Pea Stain is here, so I must be. Here we go. Okay. Now we're going. Am I? I'm live, right? Okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay. We are about to begin after... I'm just good at phones, you know? Just awesome. Live. Boop. All right, let's get started. Check out that music. I'm not even sure if you can hear that well. So, here's the situation at hand. I just made a video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's the Inside Out 2 kind of movie review. It's a high-style vlog of going to watch Inside Out 2 and then a mini review on it. It's a very good video, so I think it's my best yet, but that's from me, so it can't be that good. So what we're going to do in here is we are going to talk about all of the points that I put on there and then more, because I didn't really want to burden that video with, just a ton of content. So here we are doing like a live presentation. I was going to have a slideshow and everything set up, but could not be bothered there. Throughout this entire thing, if you want to ask questions, if this is a VOD, leave them in the comments. I will respond if they're an actually good question. And also, look at that, we got the chat. Hello, little man, Tall Pea Stain, everyone's here. Fagaro was here earlier, so you couldn't make it to the stream. But hi, sci-fi guy, welcome. I should also tell you, this is a spoiler stream. So if you haven't seen the movie, there are spoilers. But here's my opinion on that. And I'm going to make a video about this at some point. Spoilers really aren't a big deal. They aren't. They really aren't a big deal, because at the end of the day, you don't know what the movie is like. So even if you know a major plot line, you want to see how that folds out, right? I don't know. So, I mean, most of the movies I'm interested in came out probably older than I am. So next thing you know, I already know the entire plot. It's just a fun experience seeing how they work out. That doesn't matter. But this is a spoiler stream. So just be ready. Anyway. On the agenda today, we've got, probably not going to see it. All right, that's fair enough. But I would highly recommend it. I think it was a pretty good movie. If you watch the video, you'll know that I had an 8 out of 10 rating. So that's where I stand in general. And I think that is a very, very respectable score, at the very least. So, we're going to go over all of this stuff, and maybe more. So we'll just go, and we'll figure out what's happening. So, we'll touch on the first point. In my video, the main problem I had with everything was the pacing. Now, to elaborate what the pacing of a movie is, it's just how fast the events happen in relation to each other. So, like a movie with terrible pacing, you'd say, is probably Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Of course, it's kind of on purpose because it's a comedy at the end of the day. It's supposed to be funny, but that is an example of bad pacing because it goes at just the right speed, but way too long because then it has to cut itself short. It was actually really fun. It was so funny. But so in a case like that, it's intentional, but most of the time when you see a movie reviewer talking about pacing, it's because certain things, like either the movie started too slow, ended too fast. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with it. Also, just quick shout out to Luigi Marinus Gaming here. Inside Out 2 is my favorite movie of this year. I would agree. I would agree so far. I do think it's the best movie to come out this year so far. Albeit If was pretty darn good. But I do think Inside Out 2 is just better made. Anyway, back to business. Luckily there weren't any tomatoes in the film, otherwise you would have not watched it. Yeah, sure. Okay. But for pacing, this was my biggest complaint. So the pacing can affect a lot of things in a soundtrack. Or, sorry, I got my mind on soundtracks. We'll get to soundtrack later. The pacing can affect a movie in just a ton of ways because I don't know any good examples here, but a movie that goes too slow is boring, and a movie that goes too fast is confusing. So a movie like Inception... Actually, no, let's go back to this. Pacing itself, it's not a bad thing if the movie's too fast. It's not exactly a bad thing. If it's too slow, it's a little bit harder to recover. But fast, you can recover from. And I mentioned this in the video. If you just rewatch a fast-paced movie, the next thing you know, you kind of have a concept of what's going on. Good concept of this is Inception by Christopher Nolan, that son of a gun. So Christopher Nolan, he made this movie that is... You know, Inception is a pretty agreed upon movie to be pretty hard to understand. So naturally people are like, what did I just watch? What was going on? And the way to solve that is you know the basic plot line after you watch it the first time. Like, even if you can't recite it exactly, you still watched it. You registered something. So then the next time you watch it, it's a little bit easier. So with Inside Out... with Inside Out 2, it was kind of the same thing in that it was just... How do I describe this? It was a lot condensed into an hour and a half, and then because of that, it made it really, really hard to track. Sci-Fi Guy does point out something good here. The point of Inception was that it was very fast-paced and very hard to understand. Yes, that was the point, but it doesn't change the fact that it was fast-paced and that it was hard to understand. And that's why it's a good movie to rewatch. So that is a good point to bring up. For Inside Out 2, it kind of had that same thing, and it really comes down to the fact that there were 3 different storylines in there. Now, this is like the first wave of what's it called? Spoilers. So be warned, it's really not that bad though. So you'll live. So the 3 major plot lines they have to work with are anxiety, Riley, and joy. And you may notice, like the first movie. It was all about joy. And yes, there were scenes where they'd have to go back to Riley and scenes where they go back to headquarters to see how everyone's doing. But, I mean, let's go through the movie real quick. Let me pull it up. Oh, you may have heard that. That's your friend who likes to play. Alright, but if we go here. This here is the movie. This is Inside Out 1, not Inside Out 2. I don't have access to that. We're going to have to find clips on YouTube or something. But you'll notice... As we just scroll through here, there's some real life. They're all in headquarters. There's some real life. These are just clips. But like the vast majority of the movie takes place in Riley's mind, and it follows Joy. Now you'll notice a scene like this where it follows these 3 characters but then again, their actions directly influence what happens to Joy, which is true for Inside Out 2 as well, so there's a lot of similarities in that regard. But this isn't the focus. This is not something you really need to consider. You're not thinking extra when you see these characters. You're thinking, how does this apply to Joy? So then you go down the list, it's more just Joy storyline, joy and sadness, joy and sadness, joy and sadness, joy and sadness. Bing Bong is there, but that's still the joy and sadness thing. It's all joy. And then eventually when you get to the end here, there's a little bit more real... Oh, this part is so good. But it's a lot more just of a mix. It's because that's the conclusion. My point in saying all of this is that it's it's really just following your single character, Joy. Yes, there are other characters that impact her story, but ultimately the movie does relate to Joy. So, Inside Out 2, on the other hand, it really kind of tries to do a lot. And I mean like a lot. So they still have Joy as the main character. They still have her do her plot line where she gets thrown out of headquarters and has to make her way back with some item. Very similar. Oh, well, it was different enough to be refreshing. But what made it a little bit more complicated is now with Joy, she had, how was it, 3 other characters for most of it? Joy, Fear, Sadness. No, not Sadness. Joy, Fear, Disgust, and then Sadness was sent back to headquarters. So we'll get to Sadness in a second. So these 3 characters, along with Joy, are their own group of people. And we have them going on their own journey, adventuring through, like, Imagination Land, the Secret Vault, things like that. Stream of consciousness, the sarcasm. There's a lot of things that they went through. It was their own story, essentially. Meanwhile, the movie opens, Inside Out 2, with a hockey scene in real life. Riley's real life. So, that also, I should also mention that Inside Out 2 has a lot more of Riley's real life. Which is, that's pretty darn cool, because you get to see more of the effects of what happens from the emotions. But also, there's a little bit of a payoff for that, because you don't... What made Inside Out 1 so cool is that you almost saw none of the real life stuff. You just saw what was going on in the head, and then you saw the minimalist of details of what happened in real life. When do we talk about nostalgia? Well, nostalgia was just comedic relief, so I don't think we're going to talk about nostalgia. But she was very funny. And funny that she was shoved away, because, you know, who knows? We'll see, I guess. I don't know. We'll talk about nostalgia later. That's that message, by the way. All right. What was I saying? So anyway, you have this Joy storyline that's going on. And meanwhile, in headquarters, you have Anxiety storyline, which is also just its entire thing, where Anxiety's trying to figure out what's going on. Embarrassment is having an impact on things. There's just a lot happening with individual characters. You're seeing Riley happen in real life. You're seeing Anxiety controlling Riley. And you're seeing Joy do her own little thing, trying to fix things. So there's 3 different stories that really could all be separate things if they were fully fledged out. And they were at the end of the day. But they could be... There was just a lot happening. There's really no other way to say it, because that's what was happening. So, that's what my problem was with the pacing. Then again, in my video I said I've watched this movie 3 times. That is true. I have watched Inside Out 2 3 times now. First time I saw it, I knew it was good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was leaning at around a 6 to 7, which is a pretty good score for a movie. At least for me, because I'm a movie snob. But on that second watch through, I started to understand it a lot more, because I should also mention it's a more complex movie than the first, because, you know, it just got more complex. You have 9 characters. Actually, it's more like, like 14 characters to keep track of now, instead of before it was just like 2 or 3. So this time, you know, it was just there's a lot going on. Real quick, we'll do a side question here. Real quick, who was your favorite emotion? Well, it's a little hard to say, because they were all good, and I do think it's unfair to compare Joy and Anxiety to any of the other emotions, because, you know, they got more screen time. Their stories were more fledged out. But I think Anger was the funniest, and I think Embarrassment was the kind of best, like the best side character, if that makes sense. Anger was the funniest. Embarrassment was the most thematically useful, because he ultimately, what did he do? He was the bridge between, the new emotions and the old emotions. He linked them together by him bonding with Sadness through that book building scene. If you remember that, I could pull up a picture if I need to, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So we'll go with Embarrassment there for that question. But in terms of pacing, movie just moved too fast. Solvable with rewatches. That's all. That's really all there is to it. I will talk about pacing in a little bit, because that did impact other points that I have to talk about. Oh my goodness, that was a full-on yap session. How we feeling? How we feeling right now? Do we need to, like, stand up, stretch our legs? You know what? Here, we're gonna let's do some jumping jacks. Yeah. Oh. Feeling good? Crack the back. Oh my goodness, that feels good. All right. I watched it yesterday. Don't worry. Oh, solid, man. I'm happy to hear that. You know, let's talk about this now because I feel like it. The box office for this movie. Holy crap. This box office is insane. So if you don't know what the box office is, no one really does. But the box office is generally how well a movie does financially. So we'll go Box Office Mojo. Box Office Mojo kind of tracks how much money each movie makes. Now, for a movie that came out, 3 days ago now, I want you to guess, how much money has this movie made so far? Like most movies, they probably make, oh, there's a stick bug on your wow. Well, I'm sorry, we're going to interrupt real quick. I just got, hold on, there's a stick bug on your camera. I'm not that thin. Come on, I'm going to put on an overshirt in a second just because of that, you jerk. Anyway. Moving on. So the box office is kind of how well a movie does financially. So most movies they make, like let's look at movies that have come out this year. Dune Part 2 opening weekend box office. So in the opening week that Dune Part 2, the biggest movie of the year so far, so the opening weekend it made $82.5 million. Let's see, like Kung Fu Panda 4, another animated movie. That one came out with $58.3 million. So based off that information, how much do you think Inside Out 2 would make on its opening weekend? Go ahead, put in your guesses. Let's see here. Let me scroll past some stuff. $155 million for the opening weekend of Inside Out 2. That is insane. And I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of different articles talking about how that has actually, like, that's the second best animated opening in the US, only to Incredibles 2, which is also Pixar. So this is a big win for Pixar, and I am stoked about that. And also I should mention, the movie so far has made $295 million, and it's came out 3 days ago now. And right now it's fifth of the movies this year. 8 million, little off. Yeah, a little bit. But this is going to be the biggest movie until maybe like Deadpool Wolverine. This is one of the best things that could happen for Pixar. And you know, I am sad about the fact that it was a sequel that did well from them, but at the end of the day, they needed a good movie, like box office wise, because I don't want to know what happened had Pixar made what's it called, just another flop financially. Like, I think I actually would have cried. So this is all good stuff to see. I'm happy. It better be Kung Fu Panda 4. It is like maybe twice as good as Kung Fu Panda 4. It's got to do better, right? So we'll see. And it'd also be kind of funny if it beats Dune Part 2, the movie of the century. I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in the box office, and I was just really stoked about that. And I'm sure in the coming days we'll see it break a few more records. And also, it was the biggest opening worldwide, so that's pretty cool. I think for the last few years it was beat by Barbie by like $5 million. So it's not it. This thing was as big as Barbie. Barbie had Barbenheimer going for it. Inside Out 2 had Inside Out 2 going for it. So I'm stoked about that. All right, we'll take that off my list. I just wanted to talk about the box office because that was just a cool section of it. All right, now elephant in the room. Wow, Kingdom is above that. Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out a while. Like when did Kingdom of the Planet of Goodness? It's such a weird title. Movie came out May 10th, which is like, is that last month? Yeah. May 10th. So it's had about a month to linger. So, plus it's close, and it's been 3 days. So it's a little hard to compare the two at the moment. So I think we give Inside Out 2 right when it gets out of the theaters. That's when we'll see. Okay, yeah. And then also it's gonna go to streaming. So Disney Plus has a good movie coming to it soon. That's gonna be awesome. I haven't actually seen any of the Ape movies, but I do like monkeys. Watch this. You ready? Here, let's pause the background music. I'll get some. You're gonna love this. You ready? Here we go. Here we go. Okay, that's enough of that. We have fun here. We get a little goofy now and then. Let's move on. Alright, anyway. Compared to the first, let's compare Inside Out 2 to the first movie. It's really hard to. Me personally, I do. Inside Out 1 is my favorite movie. So naturally, it's a little hard to follow up someone's favorite movie. For comparison, I gave Inside Out 1 a 10 out of 10. It has really good story, really good character. Like, the character development, I think, is unmatched for Inside Out. What else is there? I could just go on and on about. The visuals were really good, but you know, we'll talk about that soon. The visuals for Inside Out 2 were just insane. Like, I didn't even think they could get better from Inside Out 1. So many imperfections. The Gorilla Slam alone. I know, I need to fix my Gorilla Slam. But compared to the first, I don't think it was really super close in quality. But I can see how the normal person who just thinks Inside Out was pretty good could see how Inside Out 2 was also pretty good. But comparing the two, I do think that the emotional scenes in Inside Out 1 were much more effective. Because they gave them a lot more time. So it goes, it goes back to the emotional, like, timing and the, what's it called? The pacing. So next thing you know, Inside Out 1 had more time to breathe, and then Inside Out 2 was trying to cram everything into it, and it did all right. Yeah. Then also, in another regard, is the creativity. Actually, you know what? One second. Inside Out 2 review. I saw this one review not too long ago. Oh, there's a Is Riley Gay video. I can't find it right now, but it's like, is Inside Out 2 is more complex, more something. It was like, yeah, it was pretty, yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to explain it. The video was just saying, hey, the movie's a bit more complex. It's not as emotional, but it tackles more advanced ideas. So I guess that's technically true, but I don't know. I'd rather cry than just be like, wow. So in that regard, emotional scenes didn't really compare. Creativity. This one's a tough one because I think the creativity in Inside Out 1 was just unmatched. So like, if we go through they establish so many things. Like, even this scene right here, just brain freeze. Let's see if we can find a pun going on right here. Look at that, train of thought. All right, let's go right here. Oh, well, I mean, this part is called the subconscious, which is pretty funny. But so right there, you already got just a bunch of funny or clever, creative things. Right here, you got the memory dump. The song that plays over this scene is called Tears of Joy. This one, Rainbow Flyer. You got a wagon from, like, look at this thing. This is a somehow feasible character design, and it's a hybrid of cotton candy, a dolphin, an elephant, and I don't, like, it's, to pull that off, it's so creative. Then, what, you know, it's, this place alone right here is called, am I stupid? Yeah, I'm stupid. It's called Headquarters. Headquarters. It's funny. This is in the head. It's very clever. Background, you see the memory lanes. Those are it's supposed to resemble a brain. There's so many things there that it's just funny. And also, oh, dang it, the dad does a banger monkey impression. Forgot about that. Abstract thought. It's so good. There's so many creative aspects of it where it's actually just impressive how awesome it is. He dead? Yeah, Bing Bong is dead as heck. Now, what I will say is that the second one did have a bunch of creative things as well. I think the notable ones were the sarcasm, which they advertised heavily. But I think the stream of consciousness was really cool. I mean, it's just whatever you think flows down it. I like that. Although, I will say, it's kind of weird how the sarcasm worked, because the sarcasm split the stream of consciousness, and then the and then the sarcasm led to the belief system. So it was a little weird. And the belief system wasn't really a pun. It was just a bunch of strings, which you could call a string of thoughts. It was really hard to balance all of that. Here, we'll go to the comment or the chats real quick. Roblox Robot, fun username. Favorite Pixar movie franchise now? Inside Out, Incredibles, Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Monsters. It's hard. I feel like that's missing one. Is that missing one? No. Cars. It's missing Cars. Anyway. Favorite. So franchise speaking, I don't think it can't be Incredibles because it had a very strong first movie and then like an average second one. Toy Story, that's competitor. Finding Nemo. I'm not the biggest fan of Finding Nemo. So naturally, it's not gonna be my favorite franchise. I could argue why it's good. And then Monsters. I don't know. They're both good movies, although I don't think they're like connected enough to be considered a franchise. It's just the same characters. I do like it though. So really, it's between Toy Story and Inside Out. I do think Cars is funny though, because they went from racing to spy movie to racing, and the car movies were pretty good, and the the spy movie was a fever dream. But I kind of like it for that. Sure, my camera's not dying. So that leaves Incredibles and Toy Story. Wait, sorry, Inside Out and Toy Story. In terms of franchise, I do think Toy Story is better. I'm really not a big fan of Toy Story 1. I do think that the visuals kind of sucked on the first one, just because it was the first Pixar movie. But it doesn't change the fact that it still looks bad. The storytelling was good in all of them, but I am in the boat where I think 4 was good, but it was completely unnecessary. So it's kind of just like, okay, calm down. And maybe Toy Story 5 will fix it. Hope so. But I live for Toy Story 2 and 3. Like, those are banger movies, especially to come out next to each other. Like, Toy Story 3 is a super fun movie, like an abnormally fun movie. So I think until I get Inside Out 3, I'm going with Toy Story as my favorite franchise, Pixar franchise. But I do think Inside Out 3 could perfect the trilogy. I find the Toy Story 1 visuals charming. Oh yeah, trust me. The Toy Story visuals are incredibly charming for what they are. But I would rather look at something that's very, very beautiful, like Coco or Soul or Inside Out 2, the movie we're talking about today, rather than Toy Story 1. But I will say, I think Toy Story 1 was very good. And then also, you got to look at the fact that, like, A Bug's Life, I think it was a little bit better than Toy Story 1. But if you look at Toy Story 2, the visuals there were an insane upgrade from Toy Story 1. And those were 4 years apart. 4 years. That's like nothing. That's when Soul came out. So I do think that I made a whole video about Toy Story 1. It's not a very good video nowadays because I'm upping my quality. But if you scroll back to it, I did a movie review on it. You can see my opinions there. I got to get back on topic. Love the constant golden hour in TS2. Oh, yeah. This is off topic, but have you seen 9 yet? No, it's on my watch list. I do intend to. Wasn't it called 7? Or 8? 7, 8, 9? Oh, it is on my watch list. I intend to soon. So, just a heads up. Let's get back on topic, though. I'm sorry. I gotta streamline this, because I still got this entire whiteboard here. Holy cow. Let's talk. We don't need to touch anymore compared to the first. I think the first is better. Inside Out 2 is a good follow-up. That's what everyone is saying, and I agree. All right. Favorite Disney Pixar YouTubers. Oh, goodness. You guys are getting me going. Holy cow. Favorite Disney Pixar YouTubers. You know, in all honesty, I don't watch that many. I think the go-to is Shafrillis. I do really like Shafrillis. Albeit, I'm not the biggest fan of Shafrillis' arguments, because I've made videos directly arguing with his stuff, but I do, for the most part, agree with him. But there's good channels like smaller channels. There's this guy who I'm gonna show you real quick. Yeah, this guy is named iMegamation. I want to do a collab with him soon, but he makes just small commentary videos, and they have very good information. I would highly recommend checking him out. iMegamation. And then who else is there? There's this guy's good too. Al Dunn. I reached out to him for... Oh, he's grown. Holy cow. He's made videos about Inside Out 2. and all that. He's made a lot of stuff, so I'd recommend checking out his videos. They're very good. All I will say is that sometimes his thumbnails make me mad. Like that's not centered. Like, one second, we're going down to this. Hey, I made this video. One second. That ain't actually, no, that is centered. There's some videos that just aren't centered of his. This isn't a diss. I'm just saying it makes me irrationally mad. Yeah, see, like that is not centered. But hey, it has 1.7 million views. So who am I to say? Anyway.
DreamWorks is
okay. My bad. Live trailer reaction. No. Okay. Anyway, let's go back on topic. Boop. All right. Family life in Inside Out 2. So if you've seen Inside Out 2, you'll know that the movie was about, what was it called? The movie was about friendship for the most part. It was almost focused entirely on friendship. Of course, there were themes. I wrote this down on my notebook that while I was, taking notes for the review and all that. But there was the ideas of confidence, having too much, too little. There was loneliness and the fear thereof. So there was really a lot to consider for the themes. And one that they brought up was family life. And if you think about it, the first movie was partially about family life, but what it was really about was adapting to change. And family, naturally, Riley was changing with her family, so family was just kind of naturally incorporated. It wasn't a problem with the family, it was a problem with the change. Therefore, the movie's kind of about self and acceptance of the future. So, Inside Out 2, I want to see if I can find this. I have a picture of it, but here, we'll see if we can find a small clip of this. So, we'll go Inside Out 2 Family Island. Yeah, here it is. Okay. We're just gonna watch this clip real quick.
Riley, how was camp? Where's Family Island?
It's right there.
Oh, there it is.
It was good.
She goes away for 3 days and all.
So, the problem with this joke is that they don't touch on it. And it's kind of used for comedic relief, which is fine. It wasn't really even that funny because it kind of hit too hard because it's just like, well, shoot, that's what happens. People say, how was your day? Good. Love the Lenny Easter egg. You just got a message there. If you don't mind me asking, what does that mean? Sorry.
Goes away for 3 days.
Okay. But like this right here, I tapped on this in the video. Saying that the family island is just smaller because of a funny bit, that's like, holy cow, that is a bomb to drop. Because that implies that Riley's family life isn't the best. And then you'll see, like, right after that scene where Riley's mad at her parents, she starts to, like, she's just mad at them, but when she's around her friend, she's in, like, the best mood ever. Now, albeit that is what happens when you're going through these stages in life, and you have to, the binoculars. Oh, I didn't notice that. That's so cute. Oh, I skipped the... Shoot, I'm bad at streaming. That's so cute. I didn't notice that the binoculars were from Toy Story. I like that. Thank you for pointing that out to me. But what I'm saying is that's a really big point to breeze over. Although you could just sum it up to teenage angst. But for the most part, that's like, holy cow, calm the heck down. So my take on that is that the next movie is going to be almost entirely about family. It seems like Family Island would shrink after puberty, not before. Well, when in teenage years, people tend to get more of a sense where it's like, oh, I care more about my friends than my family. And there's that shift later on because loving your family, I personally see it, and this could be different on a case by case. Family is kind of that is an obligation. If you don't love your family, you got to try your best to. It comes down to that at the end. Your friends, you got to be like, you can lose friends. You can't lose family. I don't know how to explain it in the best way, but in these years of life, 13 years old, it is a little bit harder to tolerate family. That just happens naturally. So, yes, it makes sense for the stage here, but I'm really kind of sad they didn't touch on that more because it would have made for a more emotional experience. Now, it depends on how you go about it, but if, let's say, what's it called? Uh, if a friend you have dies, yes, that sucks. That is very, very, very sad. Okay, this probably isn't the best example, but if your friend dies, are you going to be more sad about that than your mom dying or your dad dying? It's a really messed up scenario, but at the end of the day, it will be objectively more impactful for your family to die than your friends to die. That is a horrible analogy. Sci-Fi Guy says, I would sacrifice my life for my family. Yes. That is what I would hope everyone should. And there are cases where that can't happen. And I get that. But for the most part, there is an obligation in family commitment that humans have. That's just there. And what I'm saying is this movie, it doesn't touch on it. And that's not a bad thing, because Inside Out 3 could very well touch on that. And if they do, I am pumped for that, because that is going to be an emotional beast of a movie. Because family is something that it's a human experience that almost everyone has. And if you don't have it, then you can still relate to it, because you have people who almost are family to you. If you don't, I'm sorry. I'm insensitive. I would like to hear your opinions now, and I can talk about it. But otherwise, we're going to pretend that everything is sunshine and roses. Of course, I noticed I saw you went into a Lego store in the new video. Yeah, that was partially for you. I was just like, I'll check out some stuff. Wasn't in there for long. It was a busy night. Yeah, so the family life, it was just strange to me that they pushed under the rug. But that's not a bad thing. I just really hope they come back to it. All right, we're making it down the list. All right, does anyone need like a 5-minute break or anything? I'm good. I'm good to keep going. How are we doing stream wise? Oh, we got 6 viewers. Hello, everyone. All right, let's keep this going. Water. You like that ASMR? Excuse me. All right, let's keep this going. Let's keep moving. Humor. Oh my goodness, this movie was funny. Holy cow. I don't even know where to begin. I actually just can't explain. You know what? I'm gonna have to do some shenanigans. I'm the strongest of my siblings and often called the kinder one. That's good. Good on you, man. All right, so in terms of humor, I think the highlights are anger and fear, and who else is there? There's just a lot of funny parts. Like anger threatening to kill himself. I mean, what? What is there? The demo day. The creativity itself was also funny. I can't really talk on this one for long. I'm not going to deep throat the mic. I'm sorry. Like discuss analysis of Riley's face or someone else's face. Like it's very creative, very funny. There's just so many parts of it that actively made me laugh. But I think the biggest one. Oh, and then I mentioned the secret vault. Did I make a noise? I'm sorry. I can't really key out any specific moments, but they were so good. I think anger was probably the biggest idea. Oh yeah, and also touching back on actually no, we're not to creativity yet. I'm looking through the movie right now. 1 second. I think like the highlight of the movie for me was here. I can try to find Inside Out 2 Pouchy. Pouchy was probably the funniest character. One moment. Here, I'm looking around. We'll go over here. Here, can we just look up Inside Out 2? Anger reaches into Pouchy. Does that anger TikTok, I swear. Alright, I'm not sure I can find it. I mean, this scene was also kind of funny, but also one of the, like, really good moments where it was, you think I'm delusional, and then Joy just goes insane. Yeah, Pouchy just, like, I'll try to recreate it real quick, but in the movie, Pouchy is this character who has stuff in him, right? And like you gotta get stuff out of him, so he can either spit it out for you, or Anger, on the other hand, can go just dig deep in it. Like, here's some dynamite and some tape and apples and pizza. You know, I don't know what I'm saying, but that is what happens, and that was it's so funny. Then Fear's like obsession with anxiety was really, it was just so good. You have to watch the movie to live it. So, yeah. What age do you think Riley will be in Inside Out 3? That is a really hard question. We'll go to the chat real quick. Holy cow. I'm green screen that? What? Oh, I'm gonna green screen the Pouchy. Do it, I dare you. Let me know how that works out. I want to see it. What do you think Riley will be in Inside Out 3? Well, that's hard to say because they could go like the 3-year gap because they went 10 to 13 to 16. They could do 10, 13, 16. And then that gives you a little bit more mature, which is kind of a good time to deal with families at that around 18 age, because that's when you're going off into college. It's a good way to do the family arc, because that's at the end of the day when there's the most conflict with a family is when things are starting to, once you go off to college, you're on your own. But before that, if they do the family plotline, they have to do 18 or so. So I'd assume 16, 17, 18 in that range. But that's just a guess. She could be an adult for all I know. And it could show like the day-to-day of an adult, which could be cool. But I don't know. I felt like Pouchy was only introduced to be a Duex. Goodness, I'm sorry. I suck at reading. Ex Machina at the end, like how the boy band was in Inside Out 1. Well, actually, I like a lot of movies, what they'll do is they'll set up something as like a talisman where at the end of the movie it'll come back to help solve the problem. Like in Inside Out 2, there was the overprotecting, or the protection mechanism where you'd put stuff in it and then it launch it into that pile that the belief system got into, and that comes back later on in the movie because that's how they want to get back. Then Pouchy was used as one because they took stuff out of him. I'm trying to think what else there was. I mean, like the best example I can think of right now, just because it's in my head, was the Garfield movie, where at the beginning of the movie they talk about flying drones, and then at the end of the movie they use flying drones to save the day. It's pronounced Deus, my bad. No offense, I don't care. But really, I mean, it's kind of cool. There were a few more in Inside Out 2 that were there to help play into that conclusion, but I can't remember them, so my bad. Yeah. I think I wrote down emotional scenes on my whiteboard here, but I think we already covered those in that they just went way too fast compared to the first one. Actually, you know what? I will show a quick thing. So in the soundtrack, here, we'll switch over here now. In the soundtrack, this is not... Here it is. There's this one song right here called Every Messy, Beautiful Part of... That's not it. Growing Up is Hard to Do. This is the song... This is the song that plays when the movie is... Like, after the panic attack, I think. I haven't analyzed the soundtrack in full. I don't exactly know what I'm talking about, to be clear here. Yeah. So you can kind of hear that. I'm not sure if that's a good volume. But this is the song that plays. And you'll notice that this is around 4 minutes long. And the only other emotional scene was a very quick one. And then on the other hand, if we go to Inside Out 1. The emotional scene there is joy turns to sadness. I made an entire video about this. I recommend go and check that out. That's it was like why Inside Out 2, or why Inside Out has the best soundtrack. I go really in depth on this one specific song. So this one, it's almost 8 minutes long, albeit right around here. But it's almost a minute more, which is a lot longer in terms of movie. And plus, before that, it's Riley running away from her house. So that there is also emotional. There's a lot that happens that can be considered. One second, we gotta catch up with the chat. Let's see here. The way the movie ended was kind of disappointing because Riley is looking at herself in the mirror and it ends. I thought that was set up for an Inside Out 3. Well, the ending was supposed to tell you that she made it onto the team, and the ending tells you, hey, Riley made it onto the Firehawks, even though everything seemed to go wrong at the end of the day. By the way, Max Jax, feel free to ask your question. I'll try my best. So in terms of setup for Inside Out 3, I talked about this earlier in the stream. You can see that they really hint towards family. And, it's really just a matter of what happens when they do make Inside Out 3. That's when they decide about it. Right now, Inside Out 2 just came out. Let's worry about Inside Out 2. But that... Oh, goodness. Sorry, I just got Max Jax's question. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. My brain just got scrambled. I don't think it's disappointing because it was a happy, or it was like a good way to say, okay, she did make it. All of this movie was for this, so it worked out even though things went wrong. It doesn't really set up a third, but that's because the setup was earlier on in the movie, at least as far as I can tell. All right, I'm going to try to stay off this question as much as possible, but the next one we're going to cover is Riley gay? I don't know. Going from like a film standpoint, the common argument here is that since Riley has like different types of emotions in her head, so like different gender emotions, so like male, female, and then like the dad has all male, mom has all female. Why does that happen? Well, what I would like, there's multiple ways you can go about it. From a film standpoint, you don't want all of your main characters to be the same gender unless it plays into the story itself. Like, if you can think of one movie where all the characters, except Lord of the Flies, where all of the characters are the same gender, that's cool, and it probably had a reason for that, but generally speaking, it really, it's really good to have a mix. So from a movie standpoint, it makes sense that there's multiple different genders as main characters. Also, Max Jackson says, does it matter if Riley's gay? No, it absolutely doesn't. Unless they try to turn that into a plot line later on, it really doesn't impact the story because at the end of the day, we are seeing the raw emotions. 1 second. How come all female characters... Oh, wait, no, I just read that. Never mind. Yeah, so then... I don't know. It could play into something, or you could also argue that... You could also argue that it's because she's younger, she's still immature. So maybe they could put, like, I know there's one joke that they use in movies where it's like one of the very masculine characters is female, even though, like, I don't know, it's a running gag in some movies. So what happens is, what's it called? I'm sorry. So I just lost my train of thought. Just crashed into a wall. I forgot. I'm sorry. Don't bother reminding me. We'll move on. That's just because she's the main character. The other character is one gender, emotions for simplicity. I agree with that. I think it's just because you can't have a movie like that with exclusively one gender as the main character, just because it'd be too much. Like, if it was all men, all girls, it'd be the same thing. And then also, your audience can be more than just boys and girls. Well, your audience can just be more than boys or girls. You can have it apply to both, and it's harder to do that if you don't have a male character and a female character. I think the mixed emotions, she might be bi. I don't really know. Current Pixar movie ranking, or maybe just top 5. You know what? I'll go on this little tangent real quick because it'll help you. I have a document that... Oh, goodness. I have a document where I keep track of my standings. This is a little outdated, so we'll make some corrections, and I might make a video about this at some point. This is outdated. So let me just make some corrections. We're not even going to worry about anything else. The top 5 is Inside Out first, Soul second, Luca third, Up fourth, Wall-E fifth. There you go. So it's a little out of order, but yeah. If you want, based off this graph right here, I think Inside Out 2 is right between Onward and Toy Story 3. There you go. Do what you will with this graph. I am going to make a video at some point where I talk about my rankings. But at the end of the day, this is it. Okay, I'm not gonna go into depth on that as to why any are where they are, because that is this took me like 3 hours to make. Maybe one, whoever gets it first. All right, let's move on real quick. We don't need to talk the emotional scenes. We can talk about the character arcs. So, character arcs. I'm gonna need a notepad for this one. Is there like a sketch? Oh, paint. Yes, perfect. Perfect day for a paint demonstration. All right. So, as I was saying earlier, that there were 3 major plot lines in Inside Out 2. You got anxiety, who will say is Incredibles not S tier. I should mention it's not organized by tiers. It's just there's a max amount in each tier, so. It really should be S tier, but I was just organizing it, so it's like a ranking system rather. It was just in a tier. It's weird looking. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. All right. So here we got anxiety. Here we got joy. And here we got Riley. So in terms of character arcs, this was very, 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 very interesting, because if you'll notice, Joy, think about her story. She got kicked out of headquarters because she apparently made a mistake. I'm sorry. I need to stop reading chat. I'm gonna ignore chat for a second. I'm sorry. So Joy, she's going through a character arc. I wrote this down in more detail. I'm sorry I don't have it with me, so this is gonna be from my memory. Joy, she's going through her storyline. She gets kicked out of headquarters, and she feels, oh shoot, I'm inadequate. This sucks. And that ultimately leads to her freak out, where she says, delusional? Of course I'm delusional! And that's when she feels like she's not good enough. But then it's the other emotions like disgust, fear, anger that tell her, yeah, you are. You're good enough. You can do this. So that happens. And then later on, she has another session where she's like, I'm not good enough. And once again, it's those emotions, fear, disgust, anger, who say, yes, you're good enough. So there's this character arc right here. Now, if we look over at anxiety right here, you'll notice that anxiety, she shows up exactly how Joy was at the beginning of the movie. She has absolute control, and yeah, she has a plan for everything, heavily planned. And then also to contrast, I should also say these characters are completely different. Like Joy and anxiety, in your mind, like you think about it, they're contrasting words, but then the movie is supposed to tell you that they're actually both good, but they need other things. So we'll go back to that in a second. So this here, things start out well, but then eventually she starts to feel like she can't do anything, which leads to the panic attack scene. And because of the panic attack scene, she's like, oh shoot, I'm not good enough. And who are the dang, I spoiled it. Who tells her that she is good enough to do her job as anxiety? Who does that? It's the other emotions. So in both of these cases, both of these characters feel like they're not good enough to do what they do, yet still, they both end up not feeling good enough, even though they tackle it in completely contrasting ways. And at the end of the day, it's the other emotions. So we got embarrassment, we got anger, we got disgust, we got sadness, I'm going too much in this graphic. It's all these characters that say you are good enough. Now, that right there, you got the same arc with a different result. With the same arc with the same result, which is failure, which is strange, because you'd think if one way fails miserably, then the opposite would work better, right? But they're showing that you actually need all of it to ultimately lead to success, and then we can give that a little check mark. So you see that? That's a great graphic. Now, all of this over here almost directly translates to Riley. Because these are the emotions in Riley. So naturally, what happens over here happens over here. This plot line shows up here. I hope that makes sense, but it's a really cool character arc, and the soundtrack does help out with that, which is exactly why we are going to cross out this section on my whiteboard that says character arcs, because I'm happy with that explanation, and we are going to go to the soundtrack, baby. Woo, where the heck is my mouse? There we go. So now, the Inside Out 2 soundtrack. Here we go. So, I want to say this soundtrack is very good, and the problem with it. Okay, you know what? We'll go to chat real quick. Take a quick break. They're making a live action show called Mufasa and an animated show with the Black Little Mermaid. What? No. Okay, I knew about Mufasa, and that's like, okay, who cares? Animated show of the Little Mermaid? Why? Why would they need that? Why? You know, I don't even care. It's just, oh my goodness. My favorite voice actors, favorite Pixar voice actors. My favorite is Jim Hanks. Favorite voice actors. You know, one of my things is that I usually really do not care who voices a character as long as it sounds good. But, you know, I will say, Jamie Foxx did so well on Joe Gardner. I don't know, it just didn't feel like him, even though I know him. He's just did a good job. I mean, you gotta go with John Ratzenberger. He's a solid pick. Tom Hanks did banger job with Woody. I think it might be Billy Crystal. Mike Wazowski's voice. He's got such a fun voice. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. It's probably John Ratzenberger or Billy Crystal or John Goodman as Sully. So, leave it at that. I don't really know many voice actors. Although Amy Poehler and Maya Hawke did very good jobs. I will say that. Alright, anyway, back to the soundtrack. Here. So, of course, Inside Out 1 was done by Michael Giacchino. If you've seen any of my videos about soundtrack, you will know Michael Giacchino is, like, the best ever. He is one of the best musicians just to grace this earth. Oh my goodness. So one day I'm going to do an interview with him. I promise. Or work with him. I hope. That's my promise. So naturally, following up a really good soundtrack is difficult. And actually, I want to do some research real quick where we figure out, let's look this up. So this soundtrack was done by Andrea Datzman. Now, Andrea Datzman, she did Doug Days and Carl's Date, which I do hate to say, I really was not a fan of Carl's Date, like, at all. I think it kind of sucked, actually. That being said, Doug Days was cute, and the music was pretty good. Yeah. Moving on. She has been a part of a lot of projects, notably Ratatouille, Up, Cars 2, Inside Out, and Inside Out 2. She's also the voice of a Triple Deck Gum singer. So that was a funny part when Triple Deck Gum came out in Inside 2. Sorry. So she's worked alongside Michael Giacchino with a lot of these. Or all of these, actually. So, naturally... One second. Are we back? We're back. Okay, we're back. I think. Or all of these, actually. So, naturally. All right. We're back in business. Goodness gracious. I gotta fix that. My internet just cuts out sometimes randomly on stream. All right, we're good. We're back in business. And now the stream's playing on my phone. Great. Okay, we're here. Sorry about that. Sorry about the confusion. We're back in business. Here we go. We're past an hour. This might actually be a shorter stream than I thought. All right. So the soundtrack has a few major riffs, which we'll go into right now. So, you know the dun 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 dun. Everyone knows that one. If you don't know like information about it, then go watch my video or else. But then they actually introduced a new riff, which is in this one. One second. Here it is. So this riff right here it goes dun dun dun. Excuse the key, but copyright applies to live streams. But that is a song that has a riff in it. It's the dun dun dun. Now there are more, and I know there's this one. Right here. It's so good. Okay, it's a very jolly soundtrack. I'll give it that. But also, it has rock. So that's cool. It's like Inside Out, but crazy, but freaky. And then there is a song where I think it's called this one, "Glide and Joy." This is the emotional climax of the movie, supposedly, or it's like the tension release of the movie, where those riffs are played over each other. So you hear right there, dun dun dun, and the dun 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 dun, dun played over top each other, and I think they go into a different. I can't really go into detail about it, but the soundtrack is very good because those riffs symbolize elements of the plot and how they collide near the end, and then the story arcs. Like, and also, a cool detail is Anxiety's theme at the end of the day is it's just a ton of really stringy, screechy violins, which is clever because, you know, it sounds tense. Like, already that's kind of tense. Like, that's tense. Right? I think. Plus, when you're playing it, it kind of makes you go. Like it. So, it's a very well done soundtrack. I won't touch on it that much because I need to do research if I actually talk about that. Moving on, we'll get our background music going on now. The visuals. I cannot explain how big of an upgrade this was. Like, it's actually amazing. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So we'll go Inside Out 2 screenshots, and then we'll go Inside Out 1 screenshots. Usually if you look this up, you get like the best quality images from the movies. I think I might have lied though. You know, that sucks. Just a moment. Okay, there's not really that many pictures, but you can see right over here that the visuals are by all means good, especially like in the movie itself. That's Inside Out 2. But then you take a picture like this. Here, we'll go over to the Inside Out 2 search page. Holy cow! It's so hard to explain how good the visuals are. Like, and I think for this stream, I'm using a picture from this dude. I don't know. I don't want to go on DeviantArt right now. But the visuals are just insane. I'm using this picture for the thumbnail, by the way, so you know it's good. It's just a huge visual upgrade, and you really gotta respect that because holy cow, it's an upgrade. Like, no kidding. So I won't touch on that for long. Movie looks good, but it's so weird because the first one, it already looks good, and then they just made it better. Like, that's impressive. That takes some guts or something. I don't know. It's good. It's impressive. I recommend watching it in theaters while you got the high quality screens. Do it. It's worth it, probably. Moving on. Creativity. Actually, I kind of spoke about this. I do think Inside Out 1 was more creative. It had more room. Inside Out 2 didn't. So, yeah. If I need to, I'll come back to that. Now, I want to talk about two specific parts of the movie that were actually just kind of the best. We'll start with the first one being the panic attack scene. So this is the tension building / emotional climax of the scene. So in this, I'm going to see if I can get a video of it up, even in low quality. Panic attack Inside Out. Here it is. Oh goodness, that's like an awful video. Okay, so this person just recorded the screen. Goodness, the amount of people that just commit crime. Is this just the last 10 minutes of the movie? What am I'm like on a weird side of the internet right now. Here's something. Alright. So if we switch to this over here, you know, there's... Oh, dang it. can't really find it. But there's a scene that happens when anxiety is completely sitting still. And it is amazing. Because you go from this, like... that's absurd. That's how anxiety works. Your mind is scrambling. It's all over the place. Like, I think I just had the same thing happen. So the next thing you know, eventually, it's just paralyzed, almost out of fear. Like, I wish I could show the face of anxiety in the panic attack. Like, let's see if I can get the face. Yeah, that right there. That's the image. That is a horrifying face. Because this is a character that is otherwise almost entirely smiling. Like, even if it's a nervous smile, still smiling, you know? That, blah, 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 smiling. I guess screaming. Smiling, sad, not scared, happy, something, anxious maybe. I don't know, it might be the word. But then, scroll back up to this. Holy crap. That is... That gives me chill. It's like, it's me going from... Like, it's very slightly different. But it's just enough to be like, holy cow. You can feel the fear there. And then you have all this movement behind you. And you have... This is where the stories collide. It's so good. And it's just... And then you immediately go into the conclusion of the movie, which ultimately gives you some satisfaction because, well, you finished the movie. So, I really... Just hats off to this part, really. It was insane. Insanely well done. One second. I gotta click some buttons. Here we go. Okay. Back to business. Alright. That's really all I want to say about the anxiety attack. And I'm now on my last point. So if anyone has questions, put them in now, and I will touch on them. I will touch all over them. So the next thing I want to cover is the PS3 character. Oh, actually, you know what? Before we do that, the new characters. Envy, actually, no, we already touched on this. I already said embarrassment was like my favorite because he had the most fleshed out arc out of all the emotions. Except anxiety, who obviously did because she was like a main character. And Joy, who also had a main character. Luckily, I don't have anxiety problems, but I know people who do. That's another thing I want to touch on, actually. Well, let's do that real quick. I don't have anxiety. In fact, I consider myself to be very, very chill. Like, I do plan things out. I do think about how things could go wrong. And the thing in Riley is it consumed her. That's what was really cool about it, because things started to go wrong when anxiety took over. Anxiety was in complete control. Very good metaphor there. Good job, Pixar. But I personally don't have anxiety. I know other people who do. I know people who struggle with it. I don't. But still, even then, even if you don't have anxiety or haven't experienced anxiety, I've experienced anxiety before. Maybe a different type, maybe a different degree, but I have experienced anxiety in that I've freaked out over stuff before. So it's hard to phrase everything. Filmtastic, I have anxiety. You know, if you can give some insight onto this, here I'll try to say something that's not too out of pocket. But anxiety, if it's the idea of letting the idea that something could go wrong and letting that consume you, then yes, that has happened to me, and I think that has happened to everyone. Just some people it happens more often to, which is why this is a really good topic to cover, because it's something that happens to everyone. Everyone gets scared of reality and how it could go wrong. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry if you want, I can cut that out of the stream. Anyway, moving on from that, we'll continue with that. It's a very relatable scene because you can panic. Anyone can panic. And it's that fear, that face of fear that you look at and you say, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. It's like a deer in headlights situation. And that's why I want to pull that screenshot up again. That is a amazing embodiment of not even anxiety, fear, pure fear. And yes, there is an emotion called fear, but they established in the movie that fear is the fear of things that are happening, like getting scared by someone else. Anxiety is the fear of things that could happen. So, you know, maybe it works, but going by that definition, this is a face of, this is such a raw emotion. The same anxiety Riley does in the movie, and it was very relatable. That's another thing. The movie was very relatable, and If anyone's familiar with it, there was a interview done a while ago with Pete Docter where he said we're going to try to make relatable movies to have personal stories. That's kind of a BS statement, and I think everyone's overreacting about it because almost every movie is relatable if you condense it down to themes. So, I don't know. If they just keep making movies, they'll be fine. Like, I think Turning Red, things like that, those were all good. They just were marketed improperly and sent to streaming services. My youngest brother is really anxious all the time, but luckily I know how to calm him down and cheer him up. Yeah, see, it. And then also, Sci-Fi Guy. Here, we'll go to that real quick. That statement right there is the entire point of this movie. Anxiety, it can be useful at times to help you be cautious, but it's others around you that help you control it, help you work with it. And that's where the inside of Inside Out 2 comes in. Because anxiety did good things for Riley. She achieved some of her goals, like trying to set her up for the next 4 years, trying to give her a good life. That was good intention, and actually started executing things that were good for that plan. Did she also push away friends in the process? Yes, and it could have been handled had she had joy. So it's a combination of each. And what you're saying right there is how you, a separate person, can help your brother with anxiety. And that's what the movie is really saying. All of these emotions are nothing without each other. It was just... thank you for saying that. I do want to touch on this too. Yeah, he was just saying that they're not making autobiography movies. The movies will still be relatable, but not a single person's exact story. I see nothing wrong with that. I think people are definitely overreacting. Because at the end of the day, think about Wall-E. The movie was great. It was awesome. And it wasn't an autobiography. That movie is, like, renowned. If you go to, like, anyone's top 10 Pixar list, they're not going to say... Actually, you know what? No. Let's go to Soul. You know what's... Forget that. We don't need examples. Let's just use our brains here. In almost any movie, it can be perceived as not a personal story. It has universal ideas. Ooh, that's an English term right there. Take a movie like Turning Red, for example. Yes, it was inspired by somebody's, like, personal experiences. But even if you make something that isn't, based off it, it'll still be influenced by it. Because if I'm the director of a movie and I make a movie, how I've lived in my life will experience how those movies are made. That's just how it works. So, it's kind of a pointless statement, and it's definitely a pointless overreaction. So, I don't know, say what you will. I mean, if you showed Turning Red to somebody and said, this is somebody's exact story, they'd look at you and be like, she did not turn into a red panda. The anxiety I have is when I have to leave for college/military. Who's going to take care of pretty much everything? I get that. You see, it's the idea of letting go. That idea is covered in a few movies. Actually, it's talked about in Inside Out 1. Joy is scared of what happens when other emotions take control and replace what she does. And really, the movie's saying change needs to happen. Almost every good movie talks about change, by the way. So, just something to consider. But, I don't Pixar movies, that's why they're really cool to me, because you can look at them and be like, oh, I have this thing going on in my life, and there's at least one Pixar movie that can relate to a situation. Like, if you guys want to give me an example, I will connect it to a Pixar movie. Like, just like an emotion. I don't know. Like, one of my, like, if you guys are doing AP Literature in high school, you get these prompts where you have to, like, write a paragraph about something, and almost all of them, you can write about a Pixar movie. I wrote about Luca in mine, which was probably a bad idea. But, yeah. And this is why I like this channel. Lovely insights. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're having deep conversation right now. I might do this a lot more often when I just get people to talk to me in the chat, because at the end of the day, that's what I want to do. That's why I started this channel. I want to talk to people about these topics. So it's an honor being here. The videos are just fun. Like, I'm gonna go into film for college. So next thing you know, I'm gonna be making movies. And you best bet, I'm making it to Pixar one day. This is going to my resume. I'm gonna show my bosses. How old am I? I'm gonna be working at Pixar. Let's say 10 years. Let's do it like this. Where do I see myself in 10 years? Working at Pixar. Where do I see myself in 9 years? Working at Pixar. Where do I see myself in 8 years? Working at Pixar. Where do I see myself in 6, 7? You get the point. I'm gonna show that clip to my employer and be like, hey, I knew I was gonna do this. Give me an Easter egg. Sci-Fi Guy, you've gone down in channel history as the Lego dude. All right, let's touch on this last topic real quick because where are we at? Hour 15. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll give you an Easter. I'll throw Legos in or something. PS3 character, Inside Out 2. So I think this character's name is Lance. So there's Lance Slashblade. Let me pull up the character, the image real quick. Here we go. So this here is Lance Slashblade. And I just, there's so many things about this cover or character that I absolutely love. First of all, really funny design. When I first saw this, look at that animation, dude. It's so bizarre seeing these animated characters. Like Joy, that's like the typical Pixar animation. But then you see something like this, like it's so out of place, yet it fits so perfectly. So that goes back to the visuals. It was just, I'm in love with this. It's just something that looks out of place put into the right place. I just love it. And then also the fact that it's a Super Smash Bros. Character, essentially, even funnier. So this character itself is funny. And then, I wish I could show the scene so bad. It's just, he's such a good character. And the Disgust, like, love arc with him was awesome. But, you know, I'll show this real quick. You know what? I want to show, what's it? Bluefy. That was his name. Yeah, the Secret Vault was probably one of my favorite scenes. But you got Bluefy from Inside Out 2. This was just a really cool character. Because there's just something about 2D characters in a 3D space that's really cool. It's not like it hasn't been done before. But, goodness, it was just beautiful. And then Pouchy. Like I already spoke on this, but Anger putting his arm into a 2D character. That is irrationally funny. I just love that. What is this? Why? What? Morbid Curiosity. I'm sorry. But actually, I want to talk about this song real quick. We won't use this version because I am scared to, for the sake of Kingdom Hearts character. I thought it was a Kingdom Hearts character. I want to talk about that song actually because this is the Vault essentially, Bluefy and Company. And that character I was just talking about, Lance Slashblade, this son of a gun. Where is he? This son of a gun. His theme, it was. Here, we'll play it real quick. First of all, that goes so hard, like that. But then it's turned into comedy because every single time he talks, it plays. And that's why I wish I could show the scene right now. But that is so funny. It's like in one of my videos recently, that's the wrong tab. If I go to my YouTube channel real quick, I had this video that I made. It was the one about Screen Rant right here. And, oh! Goodness, hello. For like this recurring bit over here, I just kept on putting the glasses on, off, on, like off, switch, off. So it's just when something like that happens again and again, it's really funny. So I like to think that I inspired Inside Out too. I'm kidding. That's it's not funny. It'd be funny though. So that by itself, it's funny. This character by itself is funny because his attack was a miserable roll, and the joke is that eventually it was actually pretty good. You know. So yeah, that was just my live stream statistics. I don't like looking at it during the stream. So that theme by itself goes hard, but what was really, really funny about this character is that he was stupidly well written. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back into paint. Oh, what the goodness. So I introduced you over here, Lance Slashblade. Now, based off his monologue in the movie, I want you to consider this. Lance, he's at the lowest of his lows because he feels like he's not good enough to do his job as a fighting character, right? Now that's cool and all. Who brings him back up? It's the people around him, specifically discussed as like, no, you're wonderful, you are awesome, and you're living here. What do you think Riley's dark secret was? I think they revealed it in an end credits scene. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, it's not nearly as bad as peeing in the pool or something. It was in the. They said what it was in the end credits, and then he went back into the vault. Anyway, we gotta focus on this. This bad boy right here. He's like, I'm not good enough, but then somebody tells him. What's it called? I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind here. Somebody tells him, you are good enough. And then he's like, I am. And then he does the right thing. What plot line does that sound like exactly? You're darn right. This random PS3 character right here Thank you, Filmtastic. She burnt a hole in the rug on accident. Yeah. I'm sorry. I gotta focus on this. This is like one of the coolest details. I need you guys to understand this. This character, this random humor character, PS3 guy, goes through the same exact plot or character arc as Joy and Anxiety. The same one. Except it's for comedic relief. Because they speed it up to fit into a 2-minute segment. And then they have this riff that goes with it that's just absolutely funny, and I'm pretty sure the riff actually sounds like the normal or like the belief system riff. There's so much of it. It's such a well-written character because it's literally the entire movie in this one comedic character. It's so good. Just next time you watch this movie, think about the basic character arcs between Joy and Anxiety, then look at the PS3 character, and then you'll realize, oh my goodness, this is the same. It's the same character arc. So that's probably my favorite detail about Inside Out 2. So yeah, that right there is my opinion on Inside Out 2. That's just about everything. If you're watching the VOD, what I'll say, if you're watching the VOD from the video, what I will say, leave a comment here. If you want to ask any questions, I will probably respond to them. Thank you for everyone who was in live chat. I'll stay live for a few more minutes, but this is the end of the section where, I'm actually talking about Inside Out 2. With all of that information, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Okay, so if you watched the video, if you didn't watch the video, spoilers. So, all of that covered, 8 out of 10. I think 8 out of 10 is a very reasonable. That's a 4 out of 5. That's very good. So, there you go. There's everything. I'm happy with the movie. Whew! That was some hard work right there. All right. Let's get some chat live streaming going here. So I'll just talk to y'all for a little bit. All right. Thoughts on Disney and Pixar directors leaving for Skydance? I haven't heard about that. So Skydance. Let's see here. Big Door. They got Spy Kids on Skydance? Yeah. A movie about Travis Kelce. Mission Impossible. That actually doesn't look that. Alright, one second. Here, okay, let's see what directors from Pixar and Disney switched to Skydance. Wait a minute. John Lasseter? Hold up. John Lasseter was picked up by Skydance? What the heck is Skydance? Wait a minute. I know it's a studio or whatever. But wait a minute. Here, wait. John Lasseter. What? Okay, wait. What directors do they take? Is John... I'm so confused. Holy crap, wait, this is huge. I don't know who else was, like, Roblox Robot. If you can tell me, like, who else was switched over to Skydance, I am very curious about this because John Lasseter? Like he was kicked out of Pixar essentially. Brad Bird? Holy cow! What? No. Wow. Oh, he made the Mission Impossible. How did, I'm reading into this just now, but here we'll go. You know what? This is Letterboxd, so you'll see how some people did. Ooh la la. Okay, great review. All right, sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's see here. Mission Impossible Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Great. Mission Impossible Ghost. Whatever. Yeah, there it is. Alright. Brad Bird, how did it do? 3.7? That's pretty dang good. Brad Bird has been trying to get ray guns since the 80s. It's more adult. Okay, I do think that's good, because if they give Brad Bird just the ability to do more stuff, that's cool. I like that. That being said, he did really well in the Pixar format. Like, I haven't watched Incredibles 2 for a long time, but when I come back to it, the more I think about it, the better it gets, but because it's still Michael Giacchino as the soundtrack too, so it can't be bad. But where's his list? I don't know. Brad Bird switching. That's technically a good thing in that he has more freedom, I'd hope. But it is kind of sad to see him go to a different studio. I mean, then again, his last movie with the studio was Incredibles 2. Was that 2018? Yeah, 2018. So he hasn't worked with the studio for 6 years. So, I mean, we've been functioning without him. But, whew, that's a big switch. Rich Moore. Did he? What other movies did he do? Here, we'll go to Letterboxd. Rich Moore. You got me thinking about this now. Zootopia, that's his big one. Are they thinking about Zootopia too? Is that planned? I guess. Okay, I guess so. I guess Zootopia 2 is confirmed. So, wait, who's directing? So, I think, is he working with both? So, maybe Rich Moore is just having like a small say in it because he did the last one. Huh. I don't know. So, I think if he leaves... Okay, I gotta be honest. The only people I care that if they leave Pixar forever, Pete Docter, and maybe Andrew Stanton. Sorry, let's restart that list. Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, and Michael Giacchino. Those are the three dudes that I think make Pixar go around. He's not involved. It says he's given IMDb credit. I don't know. I'm not really... I don't really care who directs a movie. Like, that being said, I did kind of freak out with Inside Out 2 because it's directed by Kelsey Mann instead of Pete Docter. And Pete Docter doesn't miss. He just doesn't. So, to have somebody like Kelsey Mann do the movie... And trust me, Kelsey Mann he did a great job. But, it's like if you give... like a... Yeah, like he worked on Good Dinosaur. So... it was kind of it was scary. It was scary. And then you look at Pete Docter, who is Up. You have, things like that. It's just it was scary. And then, who was the last guy? It was Nathan Grano. Nathan Grano. Let's see it. Tangled, Bolt. It's fine. With John Lasseter gone, Pixar's different. It's different, but I'm I'm gonna be honest, I really like modern Pixar. Like, I've loved Luca, loved Turning Red, or not loved. I like Turning Red. Soul, one of my top 5 all time. Like, you know, companies have to function without people. That's just how it goes. Like, in a business, people move on. Things happen. But at the end of the day, I think... Oh, here we go. Director. Oh, so he wasn't even... So he's really only done Tangled. Sorry. Sidetracked. People come and go. One day, Pete Doctor's going to have to retire. That's just how it goes. But for now, we have him. He's great. Sci-Fi Guy said another thing. Yeah, we'll do a 9 trailer reaction if you want. And Rich Moore isn't involved. What do you think of the Valve titles? Are we talking like video games here? Like Portal and all that? Because if so, Portal is the stuff. That ain't it. Here it is. 2 minutes? Holy cow. Alright. Well, we'll do a quick little reaction here. I do want to end this stream soon, though, because this is going to be a video that people have to go to. Okay. Let's get started real quick. We'll watch this, and then I think we'll call it a night. Yeah, Portal, Half-Life. I haven't played Half-Life. TF2 I really struggled with. Portal, I love it. Portal has some of the best storytelling ever in video games. I absolutely love it. Here, we'll go over there real quick. One moment. All right. We'll watch the trailer, and then we're going to call it a night. Okay. Oh, and we're off to a strong start. Holy cow. Final. Okay. I assume this came out in 2009, right? Yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay. You know, that was fun to animate. Wait, I thought 7, 8, 9. Funny bit. I hate reacting.
Wait, I'm a friend.
Are we alone?
No.
Rip Bozo. I don't know what else to say there.
I found him in the emptiness.
You lead the beast straight back to us.
Feels like a
Where did it
quiet
come
place,
from?
kinda.
Why is it hunting us?
They've been lost
It's
in the
giving.
past,
I'm sorry.
looking for answers.
Science has turned against us. Join me in repelling the iron
So I guess it's
fist
just.
of the machine.
I don't really know what the
We
9
awakened
things
something.
are yet,
Something
but the fact that the machines are the problem. Tim Burton. Okay. I guess it makes sense. So I guess you just gotta know what is the purpose of these. I don't know what's going on here. What the? What the? Please tell me you saw that. Emma Johnson is in the chat. Hello. Welcome to the party. We're watching a trailer real quick for something.
9. You shall protect the future.
Elijah Wood, I like him. It's very 2009. I'll say that for the trailer. Oh hey, look, check that out. Yeah, I don't know. I'll check it out. I'll watch it. But here, let's just we gotta run through Letterboxd real quick, and then is it just called 9? Yeah. Yeah, the trailer makes the movie look cool, and it has cool moments, but it's mostly grim, sad, and depressing, and it's an amazing movie. Okay, I can work with grim, sad, and depressing. 3.4, that's pretty good. Little Big Planet movie is dark. I don't know. I'll check it out. Here, we're on the watch list. Letterboxd official. All right, we're gonna call that the end of the stream. because how long? Hour 40. Wow, my yap session was adequately timed. I can close that. We'll call that a day. Thank you, everyone. Oh wait, actually, you know what just went off? The Be Real. So everyone smile or something. Was that cringe, chat? Was that cringe? I don't know what to call that. I think cringe is probably the best word for it. Yeah, so we're gonna end the stream. Thanks for everyone for coming. I hope you agree with my opinions on Inside Out 2. Very good movie. Recommend go watching it in theaters if you haven't seen it. Good night, pasty wit twig. Wow, you spelled white wrong. Idiot. Good night, pasty white wig wit twig. Dang it, I'm illiterate. Great. All right, well.